Welcome to the After Podcast, everybody.
It's time, boys and girls. It's that time. We are one day away from NFL football. We just, round of applause. We made it. We went the whole drought. No NFL football, no games, nothing to watch, nothing worthy of watching. Now NFL's back. Starting tomorrow, we kick things off with a fucking doozy of a game. Bills, Rams, what could potentially be a Super Bowl preview between these two teams. I mean, both teams are loaded. They're stacked. They you could put a bet right now. I think one of these two teams being the Super Bowl is right now probably one of the top favorites. I mean, you got the defending champs, LA Rams. Thursday night, we get it the champs against one of the toughest AFC teams, probably one of the top teams in the AFC. Very close. If they would have secured that win against the Chiefs and that shootout thriller last year, they might have had a shot at it. Who knows? It might have been the Bills instead of the Bengals. Um, So we start things off there, and then it just carries over. Week one, we got a lot of good games. Week one, looking at the schedule, week one is pretty good. Uh, just going all the way to the end. Monday night, Russ back in Seattle. That's gonna be wild. Or how are the fans gonna respond to Russ? He did get booed at like a WNBA Seattle Storm. I think it's a Storm. Uh, at a game there. So I don't know how Seattle's going to handle it. They're one of the loudest crowds, and we're going to see there. I think it's going to be a mixture of both. I think there's going to be a lot of fans cheering, but also there's going to be the people that boo because they wanted him to stay. I mean, he did give him a Super Bowl, but he's going to do pretty good with the Broncos. But, I mean, that's just how we cap things off. The Sunday night game, Bucks and Cowboys, that'll be a good one. I mean, we got to see how the Bucks are gonna look now with all the pieces that they added. They're still one of the top contenders. Easily could be in the Super Bowl. Cowboys, I don't have high hopes for the Cowboys. Unfortunately, I don't. I just don't see it. I don't see it there with the Cowboys. I think the Bucks will do that. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick these games here, and we're gonna make a note of this. We'll have to write it down, but we'll start from the top. So with the Bills, Rams, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think both offenses could go nuts. But week one, realistically, I think these teams it's going to be more of a defensive battle between these two teams. I think these two teams have one of the best. I think this could be number one and number two defense in the league. I think the Bucks will be really good. Ravens will be really good. I think the Steelers will be pretty damn good too. But I think these two teams are going to be. I like the Bills' defense. It's number one defense. Number one defense for sure. But the Rams could be too. Adding Bobby Wagner is huge. Another piece stolen from the Seahawks. That's how I know they're in a rebuild. They're just getting rid of all their weapons, all their pieces. But in this one, I got the Bills in this one. I think the Bills edge this one out. I think it's close. I think they win by like 4, maybe like 24-20, something around there. It'll be close, but I just like the Bills. I like the weapons they got with Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen's probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks right now. He's got it all. I mean, but the defending champs. I think though the first game it's going to be a little clunky. Probably a lot of penalties. False starts and stuff. Just the nerves. You know, preseason doesn't always. It's not the same. This is the first meaningful game where if you lose, it goes on the record 0-1. So they're going to be looking to shake some of that stuff off. I think it's low scoring with the way these defenses are. Can't say they're the number 1 and 2 defense potentially, and it's going to be a shootout. But it could go that way. The offenses are built that way, but I think the defenses are built to kind of slow these offenses down. So I think that's the Bills. Then going into the noon games, we'll start. Oh, they got the Falcons at Saints, number 1. So Atlanta, this will be good. First game for our Falcons. We're playing home against the Saints in their opener. Going to be interesting. Going to be seeing a lot of our guys out there. I think it's no Deion Jones, no Isaiah Oliver for us. But still, a lot of guys think Michael Walker's going to step in for that middle linebacker spot to go with Rashawn Evans. Next man up, you got to do what you got to do. But I think the Saints we'll see what Jameis is looking like. We'll see how their offense looks with Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara. Not an easy one to start the season off, that's for sure. I mean, with what we got going on, our defense is likely to give up a lot of points, a lot of yards, and our offense probably won't be able to keep pace. What scared me in the preseason with Atlanta, I did see a lot of penalties, and that even was with the starters. So, I mean, if it was the backups, you can kind of understand it, but with the starters, it's kind of concerning that they're getting these kind of penalties. So that could be one of our issues moving forward. We got to keep an eye on that. I think all that said and done though, with Atlanta, the keys are just to not make mistakes. If Mariota can consistently not be pressured too badly, avoid the mistakes, not turn the ball over, I think they'll be all right. The Saints do have a pretty solid defense, but they did trade some pieces to the Eagles. They traded Gardner Johnson, like we talked about in the last episode. So, that's kind of big. In the grand scheme of things, I don't know how much it factors for their defense. They probably must have planned on it. Obviously, they're trading him, but either way, they have a solid defense. D-line's always good. It's always a fun rivalry with the Saints. To have it week one, I wish it was later in the season, but week one we're gonna kick it off with the banger. So if I have to pick right now, I'm gonna go. With the new team, everything new, I'm gonna go week one. Atlanta steals one from the Saints, just because Winston's coming back. They got a lot of moving pieces. Michael Thomas coming back, Landry's in. They got a lot of new stuff to deal with. So I'm gonna say Atlanta steals one. Again, maybe not a high scoring game, but I'm going to give that one to Atlanta. So we got the Bills, Falcons. Next game, we got Browns, Panthers. This will be interesting. Baker Mayfield's revenge. He gets to take on the Browns. No Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he's out for 11 games. You know that. New faces with Cleveland. They got Amari Cooper now. No Odell, no Jarvis, since he's with the Saints. One thing I did forget about the Saints is Tyrann Mathieu. New look at Tyrann Mathieu on defense, so that's a new wrinkle on their scheme as well. So that'd be interesting. But with the Browns Panthers, I think Baker's going to just steamroll these guys. With Jacoby Brissett, I have no faith. I really don't. I think the Browns are going to be in a terrible situation when Deshaun Watson does come back. It's not going to be a pretty season for Browns fans. I know they were all hooping and hollering when they won the Watson lottery, but missing 11 games, it's not going to be pretty for these guys. A little bit have to lean heavy on the run game if they're going to want to win this. Can Derek Brown and Brian Burns and them guys shut that down and make them have to pass? That's going to be the key. If Carolina can make Cleveland take the ball out of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb's hands, they have a really good shot at winning this game pretty easily. I think Baker Mayfield's going to have something to prove, obviously. I know they're disputing did he say I'm going to fuck him up and all this, that, and the other. So, the reporter came out, now I can't think of her name, but she came out and said, no, and that's definitely what he said after he denied it. So, either way, it doesn't matter. It's a fun storyline. It doesn't make for this game to be really good. I think Carolina steamrolls Cleveland pretty bad. And they're the more complete team now with Baker. They're pretty solid. Next, after that, we got Chicago. Interesting news with Chicago we'll talk into with this prediction here. 49ers and Bears, dude. Oh, this is going to be this is going to be interesting, actually, now that I think about it. If Jimmy G was playing, right, I would probably tell you for sure that the 49ers are going to win this, just because it's such a mismatch. To be honest, it still is a mismatch, but man, Trey Lance was not very convincing from what we've seen in the preseason. It tells me it's going to take a little bit to get this thing dialed in. So that is interesting just in itself there. What concerns me there, though, is with the Bears, their offense is really going to have to hold up with their offensive line, rather, is going to have to hold up, because Justin Fields is going to get knocked around week one. Nick Bosa and them boys coming at him. They have one of the 49ers have one of the best D lines. I forgot to mention them when we are talking about defense. They're going to be really nasty. It's going to be a slot. I don't think the Bears really stand a chance. I think it's a mismatch this early, but the only thing that will keep this game close is we don't know. It's Trey Lance's first real game starting. That's where it could get dicey. But I'm still gonna have to edge out the 49ers. What is interesting about this is now we have a new storyline, which I do need to pull up for you guys about Chicago and where they might be playing in the future, because they did just unveil new stadium plans. Where was that at? So the Bears took on Tuesday. They took another step towards their move to the Northwest Chicago suburbs. Preliminary plans for the desired new stadium in Arlington Heights. So they're going to be moving Soldier Field. They're not going to be playing at Soldier Field anymore. This is what's going to be interesting. I don't think they can do it till like 2026, but either way, it's kind of crazy. When you talk about Soldier Field lately, now it's kind of a shame because people more talk about how terrible the field is, and that's what's such a shame. Just because it is such a historical place. The Bears one of the oldest franchises in the league, if not if it's them and Green Bay, one of the older franchises in the league. I know Chicago's one of them. They've been around a long, long time. Historic franchise, a lot of games, championships that they've won in '85. So there's just a lot of stuff that goes. It's like Lambeau. If they move Lambeau, but it's going to be a dome. They're going to be doing a lot of renovations. They're putting a lot of money into this new stadium in Arlington Heights. I don't know how Chicago fans, real Chicago fans, are going to feel about this. I mean, it just feels weird playing a Chicago game that's what's going to be weird, in a dome. But I mean, it is going to be nice in the winter, and it's cold in Chicago. You're going to want to be in a dome. But at the same time, it's just not the same. It's like if they move from Lambeau, and they're playing in a dome, how weird is that? They're not going to be outside, the frozen tundra. You can't call it the frozen tundra if they're in a dome. It's 65 degrees in there. It's not how that works. So it'll be interesting what the Bears do, how that reception is from that, and how that looks. But I think we're a few years away from that actually going through that process completely and getting that done. But either way, it's going to be weird. But I know the field needs it because Soldier Field's so bad. But it's a shame moving on from an iconic venue like that with a lot of history. So I'm going to give that, in that matchup, though, I will give the edge to the 49ers. I just think their defense will carry them through most of this. I think they got a solid run game, good O-line. They'll be all right. After that, we got the Steelers and Bengals. And with the Steelers, they did come out and say Mitch Trubisky will be the day one starter. So it's going to be Mitch Trubisky and the Steelers taking on Joe Burrow, Cool Joe out there with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and them boys. Got to give this one to the Bengals. They went to the Super Bowl last year for a reason. I know they came up short, but still, they're the team to beat in the division. I know Lamar's back and he's going to shake things up. And then with the Steelers, I think they have a really good defense and a lot of solid pieces on offense with Najee Harris and Chase Claypool. They got to get the quarterback situation down, whether that's Mitch Trubisky figuring it out in a new offense, a new environment. Can he thrive and excel in this offense for Mike Tomlin? Because if he can, this team will be really scary, and another sleeper team that no one's really talking about right now. But they could do damage. Or do they have to wait and see if, a couple games Mitch ain't doing what he needs to be doing, and they have to go to the rookie Kenny Pickett? Either way, we'll find out pretty early on, I think, what it is, because Steeler fans will be calling for Kenny Pickett if it's looking rough. They're not going to let Mitch out there very long if he's not producing. So it's a lot of baggage that comes with being the day one starter now, especially when you got a first round rookie quarterback coming in that's expected to be the franchise QB to take over for Ben Roethlisberger. Everybody in Pittsburgh knows that Mitch Trubisky's not taking over for Big Ben. It's Kenny Pickett, hopefully, if everything aligns the way they want it to. But I think the Bengals handle their business here. It'll probably remain a tight game, given I think Mitch will play all right. I think they're going to realize, 5 or 6 games in, they might as well just go with Kenny Pickett. So that's something to keep an eye on with the Steelers this season. But I'll give the edge to the Bengals. So far we got the Bills beating the Rams, Falcons beating the Saints, Panthers beating the Browns, 49ers beating the Bears, and the Bengals beating the Steelers. Still going on in this noon o'clock, this noon time slot here. We got also Eagles at Detroit. The Eagles, man, new and improved offense with Jalen Hurts. I think bulking up, he looks good. I just like his character, his leadership. I think I've talked about it a lot with the Eagles in that division. I think they steal it from the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's their time to go out and get something done. With bringing in a big move and bringing in A.J. Brown, I really like that move. With Devontae Smith, the former Heisman winner, I mean, it's just they got a loaded offense. Dallas Goedert at tight ends, no slouch. I mean, going against Detroit, it's a tough first game for Detroit. I think it's a great first matchup for the Eagles to kind of see where their offense is at with Jalen Hurts and what they got going on now with all the new weapons. With the Lions, I think I don't know if Jared Goff can find it in him. He went to a Super Bowl. He ought to be able to find that, dig that out of him. If he wants to win, I think he could try to pull something together with this Lions team and make them sneaky good. But I got to give the edge to the Eagles. I like what the Lions are doing. I like Dan Campbell, the head coach. I like the defensive pieces that they've been drafting. I like Aiden Hutchinson. We'll see what that comes out to be in his first game. But I think the Eagles got more offensive weapons. They're a more complete team offensively and defensively. That it does include the trade they got from the Saints and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Kind of a lopsided matchup. I think the Lions aren't ready to compete at a high level yet, but given the right time and talent, the big question mark is their quarterback. How long do they have to go with Jared Goff? Are they going to draft a guy to be his successor and move on from that? But time will only tell for that. Right now, he's their guy, so we have to continue with business as normal there. But they're a step away. I give that one to the Eagles, though, pretty handily. Then you got the Colts and Texans. This is another lopsided matchup, but which could kind of be close. I mean, Matt Ryan in a new offensive, learning new things, but still the Texans, Davis Mills. I mean, they're trying to see if that's their guy. Lovey, the new head coach in there, taking over. You know he's going to have that defense right for the Texans, so it's not going to be an easy game for Matt. He's going to have to go against Lovey's Tampa 2 offense. Bear 2 offense, whatever you want to call it. But with the Colts, I like their weapons. You know, solid running game with Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines, Matt Ryan at the helm. They're ready to go, gear up. I think they're going to be really good. It's their division to lose, and this is the first game in their division against the weaker opponent, the Texans. I think they handle them pretty easily. The Texans are still trying to figure their mess out and what they got. They're trying to sort out the talent they got in Houston right now. After that post, they're in the post Deshaun Watson era now, and they got to figure things out. But the Colts, I think, will take it in that one. Then you got AFC East matchups with the Patriots and the Dolphins. Tua now with the new weapons and Tyreek Hill, going to be a really fun one to watch. What can Mac Jones do in his next year here with the offense and Belichick's offense? Patriots going with a committee of offensive coordinators, I believe, is what the last thing I had heard, which we'll see how that plays out in the regular season. But week one, I like the Dolphins. I think Tua really is. I mean, I don't think he has the best ball in the league, but I think he really is a baller, and he can play. I think this is a year for him to prove, though. He has to prove, or he's not going to have a deal. He won't be back. No way in hell they'll bring him back if he doesn't prove his worth this year. It's the time to strike, and they got a kind of a softball pitch game here against the Patriots. It's not going to be too tough. I think with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I really like him. They're going to be a fun offense to watch. I think the Dolphins put up a lot of points in this one. Be a fun one to watch. And I give them the W. Ravens and Jets. We'll get to see Lamar Jackson back. I think the Ravens, I don't know what the situation is on Zach Wilson. If he is he back? Can we see? Do we have any information on that? I don't see anything on here. I'm not gonna. Either way, it'll be a shame if he doesn't get to play. But even if Zach Wilson does play for the Jets, I don't think they're strong enough to beat the Ravens. The Ravens are a playoff team with Lamar at QB. Easily going to be a bounce back year for him, proving that he needs this deal or he's going to go somewhere else, and they'll be doomed because the Ravens put everything they had around him and only him. So, with that being said, I think the Ravens will take care of the Jets pretty damn easily. No have to worry there too much. It's going to be probably a bad look, especially if Zach Wilson doesn't play. That'll be bad. Then you got an interesting one with two teams that are question mark teams. Someone's going to get a win early and won't go the whole year losing. You got the Jags and the Commanders, formerly known as the football team, Washington Commanders and the Jaguars. This will be interesting. Carson Wentz with the Commanders. Trevor Lawrence trying to prove it. Second year. He's going to have Travis Etienne with James Robinson, Laviska Shenault. A lot of pieces, a lot of new things on the defensive side, too, for Jacksonville with the number 1 pick, Trevon Walker. They brought in Foye Oluokun from Atlanta to help with the linebacker, letting Miles Jack go. So, going to be a solid matchup. The Commanders' defense is really good, too, so it's not going to be a slouch game. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. A lot of field goals. I predict a lot of field goals for this game just because both offenses are new and young, and defenses are really good on both sides of the ball. So I wouldn't expect too many points for that game. And then after you get your fill on your games at noon, the next slate of games, we got 4 of them. You get the Giants and Titans. Oh, I guess I didn't pick for the Jags-Commanders game. I'm actually going to give that one to... I'm not a big Carson Wentz fan. I'm going to give it to the Commanders. I would go Commanders in that game just because I don't know week 1 from Jacksonville if I can trust them. But then, yeah, in the next game, Giants-Titans. It's going to be an interesting one because I think the Titans are going to take a step back this year, but the Giants just seem like they don't know what they're doing. They're in their own way at all times when it comes to drafting, when it comes to free agents, signings, getting their quarterback situation is a mess. They declined Daniel Jones' option. They want him to go prove it. Saquon's back and healthy and doing his thing. Who knows what we're going to get from the Giants. The O-line's still a mess. It is every year. The defense is always a work in progress. I don't know what their big star is. Thibodeau is interesting. Yeah, what is he going to do? So we'll see. It's a work in progress. I would give it to Tennessee, but I'm not high on Tennessee this year either. But I think they can handle the Giants just because the Giants are just that bad. Got a really fun one here. This would probably be the game to watch in the second half games. Or even, the next one. We got 2 good ones here. So first one being the Chiefs versus Cardinals. Kyler Murray in that offense going to looking to take a step forward here. No DeAndre Hopkins, but they get Hollywood Brown against Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce, no Tyreek. How's that offense look? Juju's there. They got Justin Watson. They got some guys they're bringing in tryout to fill that void. Right now, I just have to give it to Kansas City just because of more who can I trust. I don't know what I'm going to get with Arizona. I like Kyler Murray. I like the Cardinals. No D-Hop. How does that affect them? Can the O-line keep him up and not have to run around like a chicken with his head cut off? So that's what concerns me. I trust Kansas City more just because I know their resume and what they've done and what they can do. That's the only edge I would give to them because I think it's going to be a pretty damn close game. But I'll give the slight edge to Chiefs if I had to pick. Next one's going to be a tough one to pick too because one team I picked to go to the Super Bowl. We got the Raiders taking on the Chargers. The Chargers. Man. That's a team I said I have early on right now I have going to the Super Bowl. AFC West is going to be tough. These two are going to meet week 1. It's going to be this will tell an early sign of how this division is going to shake out a little bit, I think. A little filling out process in the division, seeing where these two teams are. Really good defenses, both sides of the ball for different reasons. I like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack now. Derwin James. Can they all stay healthy and compete at a high level? Because that defense will look pretty good. Bringing in J.C. Jackson from the Patriots, another piece. I think the Chargers are going to have one of the top 5 defenses as well if they all stay healthy, which is going to be scary. with their high-powered offense. I think they put up too many points for the Raiders to keep up with. I think their defense just gets tired at a certain point. And Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs can no longer keep up. But it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a Wild West, AFC West shootout. I'm going to go with the Chargers, though, that game. Next, last one for 325 games. You got the NFC North matchup, Packers-Vikings. Vikings, I don't know if I can trust the Vikings this year. I mean, I love Justin Jefferson. I love Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen, he's getting up there in age. How much production are you going to get from him? But besides that, it's Kirk Cousins. He's just your average run-of-the-mill QB. I don't know if he can win you games. He just won't lose you games. That's what scares me. Aaron Rodgers is a 2-time MVP. He has no problem going out and winning games. So even with the lack of weapons and all that nonsense, Green Bay has a hell of a sneaky good defense that no one's talking about. Devondre Campbell played really damn good coming from Atlanta, fitting in with them perfectly. You got Jair Alexander, one of the top 5 corners, just got paid. He's locked in. You're good there. They're just really good. Kenny Clark on the D tackle spot, man in the D line. They're going to be really good. I think Green Bay takes this one pretty easily, to be honest. I don't think it's much of a contest. I think the Vikings will put up some points, but it's not going to be enough to go against Green Bay. They'll get this thing figured out pretty quick with the pieces. Aaron Rodgers is MVP back-to-back years for a reason. So then the nightcap, like we had said earlier, Bucks Cowboys. I think even though with all the Bucks issues and new things coming in and out, I think the Cowboys just losing Amari Cooper is going to be huge. CeeDee Lamb now has to step up. The offensive line, they just signed Jason Peters for the left tackle. He's 40 years old because Tyron Smith's already out for some weeks. I just don't think the O-line stays healthy for the Dallas Cowboys, and that affects the run game, which then affects the pass game, and it just all snowballs downhill and allows the Eagles just to take the division. I think it's a tough matchup for the Cowboys week 1. I know all the Cowboys fans don't want to hear this, but I think Brady's got too many weapons. Their defense is one of the top defenses in the league. I think they're going to put a hurting on Dallas pretty early and steal the show. I'm going to go with Tampa on that one. And then the Monday night game last game of the week here, last pick. You got Denver and Russ visiting his home former team, Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, the game is not so much. The matchup obviously isn't going to be the key thing because Denver on paper is a lot better than Seattle. Seattle's in a rebuild. I believe Drew Lock is starting, or is it going to be Geno? I don't know. Either way, they're not in a good position. Even with Tyler Lockett and DK, their defense is there's nothing there. They've been picked apart. Their offense, they've lost too many pieces. So not a fun game per se, but to watch Russ in a Denver uniform, how he plays with the Broncos offense, Jerry Jeudy and them boys, it'll be fun to see him put on a show. But I don't think it's not going to be a close, contested matchup. But I'm going to give it to the Denver Broncos pretty easily. It's going to be a blowout. I don't think that Seattle puts up much of a fight at all on both sides of the ball. So we'll run back. So I got starting this off. I got Bills over the Rams, and we'll keep a track of this throughout the year. But I got Bills over the Rams, Falcons over Saints, Panthers over the Browns, 49ers over the Bears, Bengals over the Steelers, Eagles over the Lions, Colts over Texans, Dolphins over the Patriots, Ravens over the Jets, Commanders over the Jags, Titans over the Giants, Chiefs over the Cardinals, Chargers over the Raiders, Packers over the Vikings, Bucks over the Cowboys, and Broncos over the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how well my picks are throughout the year. We'll keep a tracker. Maybe we'll stick it up on the screen there. But it's going to be a fun week 1. Football's back, and nothing's better. Tomorrow night's going to be a hell of a fucking night watching these games. I know I'll be all eyes tuned in. I'll be focused. Nothing will distract me now that football is back. That being said, I hope y'all have a good one. Love y'all. Peace.